So Pete uses the word resistance.
Yeah, resistance.
And by Russell Wilson standards, that was an outburst, right? Like by the standards of Russell getting mad and saying something controversial.
Agitated.
You got mad?
That was bordering, by his standards, that was agitated. So what do you take from that? But Pete Carroll is basically saying, we all wondered what was the relationship there and everything else that's gone in. And Russell goes to Denver. We've seen how it's gone. We don't have to wonder that.
That's like it wasn't very good.
Yeah, but that's very good. So now Pete Carroll's basically saying Russell wouldn't wear the wristband, and it's helping that he does. And now here's Russell's response. What do you think of all this, Bartholomew?
Well, it just tells me how empowered and how emboldened Russell Wilson was. The fact that you would have respect for your head coach, and that they thought it was something that would help the offense. He was resistant to it. I don't know what he thought that would mean, because everybody wears. Tom Brady wears a wristband, right? You talk about it allows you, one, to get the play called earlier so that you can get to the line of scrimmage and make the adjustments. But if he's resistant to it, then it's saying like, okay, you're hurting the team. And if you look at it right now, who would you rather have, Geno or Russell Wilson? So maybe Pete Carroll protected Russell Wilson from himself, and then he just got tired of the shenanigans. He was too much to handle, too devious.
In case you're wondering who you'd rather have, I'm sorry, but I have to show this. Just to make it clear just how much better Geno Smith has been. And bear in mind, this was a season, the trading away of Russell Wilson was perceived by everyone to be Seattle rebuilding and Denver going to the Super Bowl. Well, a funny thing has happened on the way to that. Look at Geno Smith's numbers this season. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, and Russell Wilson is one of the worst. Those are the numbers. Take them for whatever you will. Danny, go.
And I think that's part of why Pete Carroll's firing unprovoked shots at Russell Wilson regularly. The Seahawks are feeling themselves, and the reason is the Seahawks won the Russell Wilson trade. I mean, all the draft
picks.
With the first-round pick they got back, they drafted the kid who is now their starting left tackle, and he's playing great. And they nailed the draft. By the way, they have Denver's first-round pick next year, which I guarantee you right now projects to be a top 10 pick. I don't know where it ends up. But, I mean, think about it. You could be the Seahawks. You could go to the playoffs and still end up having a top 5 or 10 pick out of this deal. And it seems like they're not too upset to be rid of him.
So, look, there are 3 legendary, and I'm going to put legendary in air quotes here, quarterbacks in the NFL who are struggling this season. Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers are 2 of them. Their legacies are set in stone. There's literally nothing, no matter how badly their seasons go, that are going to impact how we remember them. They're 2 of the greatest of all time, and of that there is no debate. And then the third is Russell Wilson. And I think that to a large degree, his legacy is going to be written in large part based upon what happens here in Denver. And it is very early to say that there's certainly no way to say it can't succeed. But I'm not sure, Ninko, that it could possibly have started worse than it has started.
No, it is started terribly. And if you think about his age as well, he has a long way to go. So he has to correct this thing. He has to turn this around, or we're going to be talking about the difference in how he fell off from leaving Pete Carroll. Just plain and simple, how he left Pete Carroll and his play declined.
Oddly enough, it's almost the same debate we had about Brady and Bill, right? Who was more important?
Yeah.
And now we know who was more important. Maybe Pete Carroll was protecting Russell Wilson from himself and put him in a bubble and coddled him a little bit, and he didn't realize. It's almost like Rocky IV when you tell him, like, they were bums. It was all set up before he fought Clubber Lang because he was a real fighter.
Oh, Rocky III.
Yeah, Rocky III.
That was Rocky III.
Rocky's right.
Together, Rocky's
I
right.
apologize.
Okay.
No, but the point is still well made. And look,
You could put 6 wristbands on me.
That's what I would do if I was Russell on Sunday. I'd come out with
as many wristbands.
all
If
over.
you can get your stats to look like Geno Smith,
So,
put them on your calves.
So Russell was, before the season started, people would say, he's probably a Hall of Famer. I think, right now he's not. And if it continues to go this way, he'll be remembered for a guy that won with a great defense and not a guy that was a great quarterback.
oh, by the way, they traded away, to Dan's point, almost everything in the world to get him, and they signed him to a contract that's worth $250 million that they're not getting out of anytime soon. So if this really is going to go this way, this is only the beginning of it going this way.
Well, I mean, think about this. You're talking about an indictment on Russell Wilson in this trade. The fact that the Denver Broncos traded away one of their best defenders to try to recoup a pick, a first-round pick in this whole scenario. That wasn't supposed to happen with the Denver Broncos. They were supposed to be the Super Bowl favorite, and they were going to be off and running. But the fact that they said, you know what, we're in such a bad spot, we need to trade one of our best defenders to try to recoup picks, to try to rebuild around Russell Wilson.
And because they figured out they couldn't pay him, the defender you're talking
Right,
about. That's the other thing, right?
Probably because they paid Russell
In
Wilson.
part, no doubt about it.
Because it's like
Look, it is too soon to say these things, but that number, put that back up on the screen, Cindy,
That's
if it's
crazy.
not too late to do it. Look how much, I know that people generally know this, but when you actually see it, look how much they traded. There's
Shelby
still a 1 and a
Harris
2
is
coming.
playing.
Do you know?
All three of those rookies are starting for
And
the
balling,
Seahawks
and
and playing
balling.
well.
Here's the point I'm going to make. Once upon a time, Jimmy Johnson traded a great running back named Herschel Walker for a haul and used that trade to turn into a Super Bowl team, a team that won 3 Super Bowls in 4 years.
Oh, Senator?
Is that how we're? Herschel Walker obviously in the news for other reasons right now. But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That who knows if someday we look back on this trade and we say Seattle built a mini dynasty on the Russell Wilson trade.
Could that be Aaron Rodgers?
Oh.
Yeah, the reboot to the reboot, baby.
It
You
could
can
have
get that for Russell Wilson.
It could have been, but the Packers decided to keep and sign Aaron Rodgers instead when he decided to stay there, or else guess where he'd be?
Denver.
Yeah, except maybe he knew something about Nathaniel Hackett. The rest of us didn't
late,
know
though.
yet. Okay, we're going to get to. Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus.